Get ready to watch round 9 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Long Beach is more well known for its open wheel routes, but sports cars have raced here many times. Let's take a closer look with our track guide. Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead. Well, with the real thing taking place a little more than a week ago, this is definitely a track that's fresh on our minds, Joey.
The Long Beach Grand Prix layout, beautiful Southern California, 11 turns, just shy of 2 miles. And yeah, it's a street circuit. It's got concrete walls surrounding this place. So if you make any sort of mistake, you are going to pick up damage. If you don't, you got really lucky. And a couple of key notable areas. Turn number 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive, probably your best passing opportunity as it's your biggest break zone. One of the most iconic turns in the entire track, the Fountain, also known as turns 2 and 3 down there. They got to navigate around the hedges and hopefully avoid the tire barriers on the left side. It gets really, really narrow down there. And then off of the back side of the racetrack, down Seaside Way, heading into that Firestone turn, also known as turn number 9, that's probably your second best passing opportunity as it has another big break zone. But be careful if you go too wide anywhere after that. It leads into the turn 11 hairpin, and it has to be single file through there. If you poke your nose, you can create a log jam.
Yeah, certainly. And we've seen that many a time, both in the sim and in real life. Now, before we get to the racing, we do want to mention our sponsors, which includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. Or Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or at 225-664-2565. Now, the championship is getting interesting because we're starting to calculate the drop points here. And this does say Arnold Roper in the lead. There should be a 1-point difference between them right now. Chris Walsh back down by 1 by Roper, who has 5 podium finishes, more than anybody so far this season. Sagar Dhawan, currently sitting in the 3rd position, is back tonight, but he's missed 4 races. He cannot miss any more than that, or else he won't be eligible for the championship this season. We'll see if he continues to stick around. We've got BJ Fulton and Michael Bolton following that, but really it is Roper and Walsh that are starting to be the runaways up in the points. Let's go over the race details, though, Joey.
Right now, round 9 of 13 here in Long Beach. Everybody is going to be racing those Porsche 911 GT3Rs. The GT3 car is basically what it is, a 30-minute race. They're all doing the 30-minute qualifying right now, and then everybody is on the fixed setup. So what that means is you can't tweak and tune. You can't even change the tire pressures, nothing like that. You basically are in the same exact car as all of your competitors. So you just kind of have to understand what the car is going to give you, what the track is going to give you, and maximize each week.
Absolutely. And we're in the midst of the qualifying right now. That might be an important session as the drivers will need that track position in this race. Now, attrition always rears its ugly head around here, so you can definitely make some spots up, but I think the name of the game mostly is just going to be avoiding that trouble if it does happen in front of you, Joey.
Yeah, it can definitely have a few choke points here around Long Beach. And with the production cars, you know, you had said it's more well known for the open wheels around here, and they're a little bit more maneuverable. So if you get any contact, and it can even be slight contact that just sends one of these cars for a slide, you impact that concrete wall and it does pretty heavy damage. And then that's not the end of the day. You actually most of the time bounce back into the racetrack, and I'm counting it. We got nearly 20 Porsches that are going around here today. So if you bounce back into the racing line, you can kind of end somebody else's day too, inadvertently.
Ooh, driver showing up for the first time this season. Sam Mayorga on the provisional pole over Chris Walsh, who comes off of good results in the real world recently, racing over in Sonoma for SRO, getting onto the podium there. He's going to try and see if he can keep that up, as AJ Roper is currently sitting in 3rd, and the top 3 are separated by 0.08 of a second. It's not that long of a lap around here, so it seems like you have really got to get up against it to make a difference.
And not only are the top 3 extremely close, the top 10 are all within 1 second. I'm actually counting about 3/4 of a second is what the top 10 is separated by. So extremely close competition out here, especially for this round at Long Beach, as we watch A few more of these cars come out of pit lane, and with this open qualifying and the fixed setup, when we watch that timer go down to 0, as long as you have started your lap, you can still finish it.
Driver I haven't seen compete yet in this series is Jim Garamani in the 163. He currently sits 17th on the timing board right now as we watch Rondeau down here in 6th position, less than a 10th off of Elderman, who's certainly shown himself to be one to watch out for, as he's gotten some good results in his first couple races. This is BJ Fulton in the meantime, down in the 8th spot, and BJ could use a few good results, as he's only just had his first podium back at round 7, was not able to repeat that, although he did find himself in 4th last time at Mosport.
We watch Sam go down that back straightaway there, jump on the brakes for turn number 9, and with 45 seconds remaining, I'm expecting all of these drivers, if they're not completing their hot lap right now like what Sam is, he's on a flyer. And actually, yeah, you were just making the comment, AJ Roper in the 07 just took provisional pole with a 119.9. So let's see what this lap is from Sam, a 119.3. Not going to be enough.
Wow, it is close between them, and they both have one last chance to try and get a better lap in. Roper coming back on to Seaside Way, or Shoreline Drive, rather, I should say, up towards turn 6. This is Jad Duncan across the line in the 83, and he only sets a 121.2, so that's not going to be any quicker, as the checkered flag now comes out. Who's going to be the first to take that across the line? I think it's going to be Ian Roche, who sits in 13th, and he does not go faster that time, so he stays down where he is, as Larry Haas will follow him. Sagar Dawan, who looked like he was going to be impressive at the start of the season, like I said, missed a lot of races and is getting checked up significantly by Shulam.
Yeah, I think that's going to basically kind of end his lap there. Let's see what he puts down. 120.1, so just nowhere close to his fastest time. You're right, I think he definitely got checked up in the hairpin. And something to note, really, our top 3 have already stopped. So AJ Roper, Sam Mayorga, and Chris Walsh are not on hot laps.
Interesting. Looks like Jad Duncan is still out there, so we'll try and pick him up in a bit as we watch Castillo in 16th position, coming around that tight last hairpin, get on the throttle and accelerate away. I'm showing him what looks to be about 3/10 slow, so I don't think this is going to be a good one. Nope, it is. Excuse me. It's a 21.1, and that will jump him up to 15th, so a nice jump for him. Jad Duncan comes to a crawl here, as I think he is done, and he does not go faster. That's everybody done here for this qualifying session. A bigger field, and probably not the time that you want a bigger field showing up for a race like this, Joey.
We keep talking about how tight Long Beach is, the concrete walls on both sides of it. Yeah, it's always fun to have all your buddies on the playground together to play with you, right? But yeah, when you're talking about this playground, you can get elbowed off of those monkey bars pretty easy.
Certainly, and as appropriate for California, it's a little bit steamy on the pavement, about 107 Fahrenheit, although the air temperature is very nice, about 72, so not too bad for the virtual fans. As for the real drivers, it is going to be AJ Roper, who is on the pole position, and Mayorga was pipped there at the very end, who will start on the outside of that front row. Chris Walsh will start 3rd. Sagar Dawan will be in 4th, and then it is Jad Duncan in 5th. Ezra Kelderman returns once again the outside of that 3rd row, as Mark Rondeau starts from 7th. BJ Fulton couldn't improve in those final few minutes, will start from P8. Michael Bolton 9th, and Dylan Scott rounds out your top 10.
Then in 11th, we have Matt Hollander in the number 69 machine, followed up with Jeff Shulam next to him there on row number 6 and 12th. Ian Roche in 13th, Dustin Heindel in 14th, Will Castillo rounding out the top 15 cars, then Larry Haas in 16th, Jim Garamani in 17th, John Momeyer 18th, and Josh Conley is the final of the 19 cars we've got lined up today.
Now, the drivers are lined up 2 by 2 as they usually do, but I have to imagine, or at least hope, that they're going to go single file around that hairpin. I haven't. I checked up earlier today. I didn't see any discussions amongst the group on if they were going to try and have any specific rules, as it's cooled down slightly since qualifying down to 104 Fahrenheit. It looks like, with a fair bit of wind as well, Joey. That's interesting.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to play into effect with these cars on this racetrack per se. I think the speeds are low enough that they're not going to get blown around. And I think I'm most interested to see how this hairpin is handled on the pace lap, because sometimes you do kind of have to do that zipper merge, and then it's up to the leader to just kind of run away.
Yep. We even saw in real life as IndyCar was trying to get it a little better packed up this time. It maybe went for about 4 rows or so, and then off they went. Kind of surprised they don't try and start that a little later. Front cars are going single file. Some in the back look like they're trying it maybe, and it's kind of working out sort of. Everybody else trying to catch up to A.J. Roper at the front of the fields. And there is the green flag. A few of them still coming around, but not as bad as I feared. Someone gets a huge jump, climbing up the order around the outside there as he had momentum. That is actually Matt Hollander, who's going to go all the way to the lead. By the time they get to turn 1, they all break down 3 wide, and it's going to be contact between the leaders, and there is a blockage right at the start of the race.
Oh my goodness, it was Hollander that went in and they got on the brakes really early, and we still have cars boxed up into turn number 1, so things are a little bit sloppy on the first couple corners, but it is Sam Mayorga way out front, and there's the yellow flag, so we're going to get the manual yellow flag and get everybody grouped back up. But Joe, you called it. It was just that, I believe it was the number 69 that got the monster jump from just the accordion effect and drove right around everybody into turn 1.
And it was Chris Walsh who wound up turned around and had to wait for everybody to pass before he could get going. So he's now going to have to start from the very back of the field. That's going to be exciting. And to their credit, yes, it became a bit of a mess down in there, but everybody woke up. Other than a few little taps amongst each other, it wasn't like it was a major accident.
No, and if we do get any shots of the replay, I think that what happened was Hollander got the monster jump, which he's allowed to do, right? Like, he has the green flag, everybody is racing, and then he actually just got on the brakes a little bit early in compared to everybody else. So watch this black and yellow car. He's going to kind of slide right in the middle of the racetrack and then kind of check everybody up. The 104 makes a little bit of contact, and then they both spin to the inside and blocks that entire inside lane. So not only Chris Walsh boxed into this, but I mean, pretty much everybody on the left side of the racetrack was.
Yeah, Chris kind of wanted one of those positions back, I think, and unfortunately it wound up how it did. But really great work by the entire field out there to keep this from becoming just an absolute mess. They do have spare cars waiting for them in the lane, so they would have been able to come back around and take those. But for those that just real quick before we come back to you, Joey, for those that don't know, in this series, they only throw these yellow flags according to how many incident points are racked up on the first lap. If it hits a certain number, they'll throw the caution to bunch everybody up to help prevent sort of situations like this separating the field.
What I was going to get at is, yes, they've got that spare car, and Chris Walsh did go to the other end of the field because being spun, but look who came down pit road, Joe. Sam Mayorga. Ooh. All the way to the back of the field. So really now, other than Sagar Dowan, AJ Roper, Kelderman, those are all incredibly fast guys at the front of the field, but we've got 2 of our fastest cars all the way at the back.
You know, I went back and checked, and it looks like Sam got a little bit of a tip in the left rear, and that hit his right rear into the tire barrier. It didn't look significant, so I'd be surprised if he had a black and orange flag, but I guess it must have been hurting the car enough that he decided it was best to try and take that spare car and fight his way back through instead of running around limping for the remainder of the race. Now, this will eat into the amount of laps that they have around here, so that makes it even more difficult for the 17 and the 18 to try and make a lot of passes here, because they're going to have precious few laps to try and do it.
And the passing opportunities are few and far between. I say that there's 2 good ones here at Long Beach. However, when you're kind of at the back of the pack, you can kind of force the issue in a few different areas. When everybody's stacked up, you have to rely on the racecraft versus just how fast your overall pace is. And talking about overall pace, you see that purple scorcher from Kelderman? 222 laying down the law right now in P2.
Kelderman on 3 straight podium finishes on these. Or no, excuse me, he had a 4th on that first one. A 4th and 2 podium finishes for his first 3 races here in the series. So Ezra doing honestly a fantastic job here at the start to kick things off. Now, he's not going to be in the championship because he's missed too many races early in the season, but he definitely could steal some points that are needed by guys like Roper, DeWan, Walsh, Fulton, who are going to be trying their best to stay in the hunt.
This is an interesting time mentally as the driver, too, because if you think about it, they were all fired up. You got done with qualifying. You're sitting on pre-grid. You get your little mini pace lap done, and you get to go green flag racing, and then all of a sudden, we're back under yellow. So you have to kind of do this whole mental reset. There's a lot of shakeups from cars that are from way in the back, starting inside the top 5, including Will Castillo. He jumped up 11 out of all of that. And there's also the cars that are all the way at the back. So I just think these drivers mentally, they have to completely hit the reset button, and it can't be the 30-minute race now. It's going to be about a 22-minute race.
I'm going back real quick to check, and yeah, Will just drove around everybody on that first incident to allow himself to move up to 4th. I'll be curious to see how many positions he holds here, because Will's not known as the quickest driver out here, and we haven't seen him get to mix it up with them much, so we don't know what his racecraft is going to be like. And if he can retain that 4th place, that'll be fantastic. By far, it'll be his best finish in the series, but he's got to hold on to it for 23 whole minutes as the pace car is now getting ready to peel off with those lights off, and Dawan has a chance to try and win once again. It's been at least 4 races that he's missed, but the last time he was here, he took a win in race number 4 as he tries to back them up to get everybody a chance to go. And there is the green flag as they accelerate down Shoreline Drive towards Toyota. It's a good start for Castillo, actually, who's looking towards what will be the inside. And then far back, I can see Michael Bolton starting to find a few places. He must have also had a good run coming down into the first corner. Everybody trying to play nice into there, and it's looking good. Now they head into the fountain.
Yeah, still a little bit of side-by-side as they enter the fountain section, and you gotta get single file, a little bit of door banging through there, but I see all of the cars still pointed the same direction, still more side-by-side through 4, and then we exit 5 and head down towards Tecate, turn down here, turn number 6. The 501 of Dawan starting to get a little bit of pressure from Kelderman.
Kelderman knows this is a great chance for him to take another victory here as John Momeyer has an issue, unfortunately. And it may have collected Chris Walsh, because I have seen him now disappear, and he is disconnected. He is going to get a DNF.
Oh, no, and it also included Hollander as well. So just when it rains, it pours. But this is live still, and it's still Roper all over the back of Kelderman. This is going into the final turn, 11 hairpin. You got to keep it single file. Don't cut it too close. You might hit that wheel on that little nubbin of the curb there. It's always focused on the exit.
All right. Well, that was just as exciting of a second start, but at least we're getting it going this time. Dawan now at the lead by about half a second over Kelderman. Roper getting demoted down into 3rd after he started this one on pole. And they come through the fountain section once again. I can tell you that Walsh and Mayorga actually came to a complete halt at one point through the fountain last time. That's how backed up it got on that restart.
I think that there's more cars coming to a stop. I'm just seeing time and scoring. Oh, there's more contact. That's Mayorga. We were just talking about him. And Larry Haas, this is between turn 4 and 5. And now we got more cars coming up to him, trying to avoid, and everybody gets going on the racetrack. But that was a little bit of an awkward situation.
That's one of the most narrow parts on this circuit, and unfortunately it seems not enough for two in that situation. Sounds like we got a bit of a replay here. So Matt Hollander coming out of turn 5. This kicks off that incident that collected Chris Walsh. Oh, he just gets loose, and then others scatter to try and avoid and pick the wrong way.
You got to hold the brakes, right? You got to be predictable for everybody. A little bit unfortunate for everybody else collected into it. And this is directly in front of Mayorga. So I believe this is Will Castillo, and he does not have a rear wing any longer. Oh, and he bangs the wall even more. This is a full contact race today.
Really is. Sam now trying to pull a little bit of slipstream, and I thought maybe he was going to try and bump draft him. Now it looks like Will's just going to let him by. Sam back up to 12th. Remember, he started this race in P2, so it's going to be a long road up the hill to try and get him back to where he began, if he can even do that. He's already 20 seconds behind Cigar.
This battle is up here for what is 4th, 5th, and 6th. So it is BJ Fulton leading Dylan Scott and Michael Bolton here in this yellow car. And oh, that middle car of Scott kind of blinking out. You never want to deal with that as a competitor. You always wonder what is exactly happening with their internet, and hopefully he'll get that under control. And this is also just up the racetrack in front of him. So Roper, it really is still putting all sorts of pressure on the back of Kelderman.
He does not take kindly to the fact that Ezra has taken away at least what was a second place on that restart, and try not to allow the 501 to run away from him as they head towards the first corner once again. Defensive move from Ezra, who just kind of drifts to the middle of the track briefly. Now back to the racing line as he feels safe enough. Will stay as is. Dawan, Kelderman, Roper.
There's a few passing opportunities, but in a street circuit you have to be so close in order to really crack open that door or have a mistake be forced from somebody in front of you. As we're going to get a replay of what happened to Will Castillo here, and I assume that this happened on one of the opening laps, and that if you cut that hairpin too close, you can nail that inside median, and yeah, it'll either spin you around or just cause damage.
And honestly, I can't well, that one was a bit of a silly move, but I was going to say I can't criticize him on clipping that inside curb, because I've done that as well multiple times at this track on iRacing. Just if you don't have 3 screens or VR, it's hard to tell where it is.
You're right. It really is. And it's interesting how you drive it too. You kind of have to shift your hands on the wheel most of the time. So there's just a lot going on for sure. Is jumping on board Mark Rondeau, who is currently in 10th place. That's Jeff Shulam in the 371 directly in front.
Yeah, also there was a bit of a moment for Kelderman nearly losing it down in the hairpin, interestingly. That almost allowed Roper to get by, but he wasn't able to do it at such a slow turn that it happened in the middle of it. Rondeau going to look down to the inside of turn 1 and decide, no, he's not nearly close enough, as they both slam on the binders.
That was all the way down to the inside of turn 1 there, nearly in the marbles, or pretty much scraping them off the wall, and Rondeau's just trying to fill the mirror of that competitor directly in front of him. If you can't get close enough to make that lunge, if you can fill that mirror, you might be able to force them into a mistake that will then open that door.
I think Dylan Scott may have had an accident of his own, or maybe he's just felt like his internet is a little too spotty, because he's also now taken a tow into pit lane, right up against the wall for Chad Duncan, leaving no room for error there as he chases on Dustin Heindel. We were saying his qualifying didn't look as good today, from 14th up to 6th. Once again, if you keep it on the island here, you can get a good result.
100%. The cleaner you keep the car, the better off you are, and the more mistakes you make, you're just going to continue to fall back. And Chad Duncan doing a terrific job right now, just picking them up and knocking them down. Heindel up, like you said, 8 positions up into
Oh,
6th.
what's going on with Shulam here? He's got a bit of an Austin Power situation going on, and the nose of the car looks very damaged. He'll get it going just as Will Castillo starts to approach.
Yeah, and just kind of bounced it off of the wall. Castillo with the no wing has the ultra top speed, so he's going to shift over to the HOV lane far right there, try to go right on by. See who's got more grip going into the brake zone. I assume Shulam's going to be able to stop the car much more efficient, but I tell you what, Will Castillo with no wing, he's doing one heck of a job.
Yeah, I mean, he's still running in 11th here. I'd have to go and check to see if I can find what his best results has been so far this season. But currently is chasing and hounding Jeff Shulam, who's showing a bit of damage of his own after that latest incident. And we're down to halfway through this race now that we've hit the 15-minute mark. Let's see what put him in that awkward position.
I believe it was Rondo that was right behind him at the time. Oh, just a little bit of miscommunication there. You know, Shulam was probably maybe just a little bit loose exiting the corner, and Rondo was already on the gas.
Yeah, just both of them trying to get to the same place at the same time, unfortunately, and wound up turning them around. Back to Roper versus Kelderman. The good news for AJ is that they're not really losing touch with our leader in the 501. But the bad news is he hasn't been able to find a way by quite yet. And he can't waste too much time. Eventually, if he feels like he's got better pace than Sagar, then he's got to try and get around Ezra here sooner or later.
I think that Roper in the orange car has definitely ramped up the pressure, I would say the last 2 laps. And it could be because Sagar is starting to run away with it a little bit. And AJ says, I want to keep up with them. So you're right, he has to get around Kelderman. And Kelderman a little bit wide there, going out of turn number 8. So this could be that opportunity.
As we fly down the backstretch along Seaside Way, he's right on top of him. But he decides he doesn't want to try it quite yet. Didn't have the overlap. Continues to watch as they work their way through the parking lot into the hairpin. Starts it a little bit wider. Can he get a better run? No, he slaps the wall on the exit.
That was just getting too greedy from that 0-7 of AJ Roper. He had such a monster run down the back straightaway. He opted not to do anything with it because he probably thought this would be the area, and just got too greedy with that gas pedal and kind of understeered out into that wall. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he didn't do any steering damage to those toe links and he can get back into the fight.
Back to Bolton now, sitting in about 5th place, which is appropriate since he's 6th in the points. He's trying to see if he can keep within these top 5 to get himself a good score here today and stay in the hunt for it. But right now, he's got BJ Fulton within his sights. Can he do anything to maybe close this one up and make it more of a battle?
Let's watch him here for a couple corners as they jump through Tecate turn. And this is actually a little bit of a closer battle. So I was watching Mark Rondeau. That's in 8th place here. He's the gray car. He's been closing it in on Dustin Heindel. So Jad Duncan was able to get around this blue car, kind of leave him in the mirror. And now it's Rondeau that has caught up with Dustin.
So as he trails him coming down the back stretch, once again, doesn't look like he's as close as he needs to be to try and attack. A bit off the apex there for Heindel, though. Maybe he's the one that's feeling a bit of this pressure at this stage. Coming into the hairpin, tries to set it up and get the launch off the corner. Looks a little bit tidier for Dustin.
I think that Rondeau has been doing decent coming off of that turn 11, so let's see if he's confident enough to make a lunge. And this front straightaway isn't too terribly long. You get to draw it in a little bit on the slipstream, and you see Dustin kind of posture himself right in the middle of the racetrack. So Mark doesn't look down the inside. Is just going to continue right in that mirror, tuck himself underneath that spoiler, and try to force Heindel into a mistake.
Heindel's best finish so far this season is a couple of 6th places, sitting in 7th right now. He could use these points, doesn't want to give it up to Mark Rondeau. Takes a lot of that inside curb. I do believe you are allowed to do that in these cars, as long as they'll behave over the bumps. You're allowed to try and cut that quite a bit, and it seems like he's not giving any time back, so I think he's okay there. Castillo still on Shulam. And this is separated by all of about 0.7 of a second. But up the road, that appears to be John Momeyer, who's actually a lap down. So that's not a battle with that number 6 car they're coming up to.
Driving up Pine Avenue here, headed towards turn number 8. Such a crucial turn because it leads out onto that back straightaway, and Will Castillo slaps the tire wall again. Add another mark to that orange Porsche.
Yeah, now the good news is he is able to carry on, it looks like. It's handling okay. It's driving somewhat straight, and I don't see a black and orange. Oh, wait, no, he does have a black and orange flag. I just spotted it now. Oh, no. So he's going to have to come in and get the car repaired. Checking to see if he's already used one of his. No, he actually hasn't. So this is going to be his first one as he somehow threads the needle on his way into the pits.
Oh, and I believe that was Mark Rondeau having some problems coming through the fountain that has caught up the red car of Ian Roche. So something definitely happened, and Dustin Heindel is still in front of him. So something happened there in the turn 2-3 fountain section, and maybe we'll get a little bit of a look. But what was 2 cars is actually now a little bit of a 3-car fight for 7th.
I went back and took a look at it, and it appears that Heindel and he managed to get side by side through there. In fact, I wonder if this is what we're going to spot on our replay. It starts down into turn 1, it looks like. Got to the inside of him. Rondeau tries to finish the job, but unfortunately some contact was made, and Rondeau comes out the worse for it.
And it's really tough to go too wide through the fountain. It really is a single file section, so I can't really put blame at either one. I would call that one of the racing deals, as AJ Roper still has yet to find a way around Ezra Kelderman. But remember, he had that little bit of a wall hit. He's recovered from it. He still seems to have that pace.
I'm wondering if this is patience we're seeing from AJ Roper, or if he just really can't get around and hasn't even had the opportunity, because we haven't seen him manage to stick his nose in quite yet. And Dawan is going to be one of his rivals, especially if Sagar keeps showing up for the rest of the season and starts getting more and more points. He could become a championship rival as he's in third. Roper leads the points right now, so he needs everything he can get. As Bolton, once again, in a heck of a fight here with BJ Fulton. He gets side by side down Seaside Way.
Who is going to break the latest here? Looks like Michael Bolton on the outside. Can he get the car stopped and turned? He just barely misses those tires, so move him up in front of BJ Fulton. And really, this all started, Joe, an entire lap ago in turn number 5. They got stacked up from lap cars, and actually BJ Fulton just kind of got stacked up coming out of the hairpin himself, so he's already lost touch with Bolton.
Yeah, he got hit from behind by Castillo, who's now got his spare car. So he's not fighting these guys for position, but he's certainly becoming a part of the fight here. As behind Bolton, they've also got Jack Duncan in the yellow machine trying to become a part of the fun. And there's that run wide. Whoa! Roper having to catch a huge slide.
You asked, what was the mindset of AJ Roper, if he's just kind of being patient back there? I don't know if he is, Joe. I think that he is pushing it on the limits. Yes, a podium finish and top 3, it'll be wonderful for points, but judging by how he's driving, he wants a checkered flag.
Certainly looks like it right now as Dustin Heindel versus Mark Rondeau. You know what? I think he let Mark by, actually, because he was behind him, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Heindel was in front of Rondeau, so yes, Rondeau. But oh, look at that. That was a huge mistake going out onto Seaside Way, and now Ian Roche is going to get the run. He's in that red and white car, so Dustin Heindel, Mark Rondeau, Ian Roche, they're all involved in this battle here, kind of tripping over themselves too wide into turn number 9. Ian Roche around the outside of Heindel.
Oh, so that's 2 positions lost in 1 lap. Oh, he tries to get it back and almost gets to the inside. Somehow they navigate the hairpin side by side without wrecking, but Roche gets a much better run down the main straight, and Dustin is going to have to try and use this slipstream to get back into it. He might be able to, because he's gaining quick here. A little bit of a weave down to the inside, but not enough to completely cover him off. Dustin gets down to the apex first. He's a little hot into the corner, but he makes it stick.
was a big wiggle to catch the car right there at apex as it slid out from underneath him. But you're right, was able to get the pass done, and the car stopped in turn number 1. So Ian Roche is going to have to come up with a new way. And I think that front end damage on that red number 12 really hurt him on that front straightaway. It was pretty impressive watching Heindel close up in the draft.
Yeah, didn't expect him to close quite that quickly in these cars. It is a long straightaway, but usually you don't see it reel him in that quickly. As Dawan is actually not being threatened by anyone here. He's the car behind that is now lapping Matt Hollander, who gets out of the way for the 501. Ezra Kelderman, now that AJ Roper had that little slide, has since had the pressure relieved. So he's been able to focus forward to see if he can catch our leader, but it's still sitting at about 1.2 seconds. So he's got some work to do.
And from what we've seen from AJ Roper, just any little mistake can definitely almost end your race. And if it's a little bit bigger, trust me, it will end your race. You never want to see Matt Hollander blinking out as the leaders are going through. He's going to get out of the way of Kelderman, so terrific job from that number 69 car, and then I'm sure he'll also let AJ Roper through.
It doesn't seem he was holding him up because it's still sitting at about 1.2 seconds, so that was great work by everybody in that situation. Roper now passed, so nothing separating all three of them fighting for the win of this race, all about 2.3 seconds apart total. This definitely is not over.
And you say that it's not over. I was just riding on board with this orange car. I don't see any steering damage, Joe. So I think that AJ Roper's car is A-okay when it comes to how it is driving. It's just, can it still make the passes, and is the driver willing to be aggressive for it?
Well, is the A-OK car of AOJ Roper going to be able to take the win here in these last 4 minutes? He's closing on Kelderman. Clearly seems to be the faster of the two of them. And I would assume, since they haven't lost touch with Dawan, that he's going to be the faster of all three of these cars. He needs that track position.
He does, and I'm looking at the hard data. Dawan still holds our fastest lap of the race, a 20.0. The second fastest car is the one we're riding on board with, AJ Roper, with a 20.1. And the fall off hasn't been too much. All of these cars are still doing about a 20.5, 20.6 or so. It really is just down to the driver to manage these final few minutes.
Go probably going to be seeing, I think, about 2 laps next time by. Might be 3 laps still when they come across there. As Roper hunts him down the back stretch, 0.7 of a second now. He is chopping away at that gap. But we saw before, he couldn't find any good place to try and get by that deep blue number 9 machine. He's got to have to do something creative or a little bit desperate if he wants to try and at least get up to P2. I don't even know if he's got the pace to chase down the lead. Here is Jad Duncan, still in a fight with BJ Fulton.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate as we're watching this battle, because AJ Roper, Joe, he just took out 0.4 out of Sagar Dawan that last lap. So you say that he doesn't have the pace, but I'm looking at the data, and I mean, yeah, there's a car in between him and Dawan, but I think the speed is still potentially there.
It's going to be tight. If he can, he's got to hit it absolutely perfect. And if either of them defend, I think that might be lights out for a hope for the win here, as Jad Duncan still follows around dutifully behind BJ Fulton in the battle for a 5th position. This is all fallen about 3 seconds behind Michael Bolton right now up the road in P4. So they've got a ways to go to get to the next car after them as well. So coming around, yeah, this should be 2 to go at the line, I'm pretty sure, for Dawan.
And yes, now I'm going to agree with you. I think that Sagar is just too far out in front for Roper to get. So it is going to be Dawan's to lose, and they're doing about 1:20 laps. So yes, we will have 2 laps to go here.
Ooh, behind them, we didn't see it on screen, but Duncan once again was close to Fulton through the hairpin. You get so close because of the accordion effect through there. It probably feels like you can make a pass every time, even though you can't, Joey.
Absolutely. That's exactly what an accordion does. And it really kind of lights up the driver's eyes. They open up really, really wide. They say, oh my gosh, look at, they're going so wide. I can totally poke the nose down in there. And before you know it, you both are arguing over the exact same spot. And it usually ends in tears as Jad Duncan still continues to hound the back of BJ Fulton. And BJ slips out a little bit wide there. And Jad is just not quite close enough. He has to close it in a little bit more.
Certainly does. And as the drivers come up over the little elevation change that they have here at this track, he's still got a shot at it. But what about Dawan? Does he have a shot at taking the win over Kelderman and Roper, having started on the second row? It's been a race that's practically fallen into his lap. Roper was the one that started on the pole, and now he's got a single lap to try and undo what he lost at the beginning of the race.
Let's just keep it mistake-free for one more lap. That's all the 501 has to do. And really, Kelderman and Roper, they need to be on the attack, doing 10/10ths right now. Just keep it off of the wall.
Coming down into the corner. That was a little wide from Roper. I wonder if he's overdriving the car a little bit now in desperation to try and at least take P2. Thankfully, it didn't send him into the wall, but he can't get away with that too much.
No, and you don't want to end it on the last lap. You see how deep they're taking it on every single turn. So Roper is still kind of smells blood in the water a little bit, and Dawan sliding it up and over Pine Avenue. So just nail turn 8 right here, and he's looking at one more important break zone.
Wow, what a race it's been. Like I said, fell into his lap a little bit, but sometimes you got to take these when they happen and do what you can with what you've got. And right now, Dawan in the 501 car has been missing for 4 races. It almost looked like maybe he was going to be out of the championship. He's a long ways behind, but as he comes to the line, these 20 points will shoot him back into the fray with a win at Long Beach.
Terrific drive from that 501 when he got out front. He didn't let anybody in the mirror phase him. Ezra Kelderman will finish in second, and AJ Roper, who started on pole, slips to third but does find himself on the podium.
Can we praise Michael Bolton there, going up 5 positions to get a 4th place finish? That was an excellent run. And then Heindel did him one better. A gain of 6 to finish P8 today. That was a really nice race by Dustin Roche, who is going to finish in 9th. A good top 10 for the Marlboro car.
We watch the rest of the cars come across the start-finish line. This is Jeff Shulam in the 371. We saw Jeff have a little bit of an up and down day. He's going to accelerate down Shoreline Drive and complete his race here at Long Beach.
Yep, Haas going to be the last one to finish on the lead lap, which is going to take us to a quick break. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Long Beach. Our latest race here in the Porsche Owners Club Series sees Sagar Dhawan come back with another victory, his third of the season, and is yet to finish off the podium when he does show up. So he's got a mountain to climb on the points. This will help as Ezra Kelderman finished P2. Our points leader, AJ Roper, does collect a third place, continuing his streak with the most podiums of anybody, now up to 6 out on the season. Michael Bolton finished 4th today as BJ Fulton finished in 5th, and then Jad Duncan was 6th. Then Mark Rondeau finished P7, followed by Dustin Heindel, who had a good battle with him there in 8th place. Ian Roche 9th, and Jeff Shulam rounds out your top 10.
Larry Haas will finish in 11th with Matt Hollander in 12th. Will Castillo finishing 13th. Jim Garamani in 14th. John Momeyer finishing 15th. And then unfortunately everybody else did not finish today's race. That includes Dylan Scott, Sam Mayorga, Chris Walsh, and that I believe is going to be it.
Indeed. And we've got our winner, Sagar Dhawan, ready to talk to us. The 501 driver taking another victory this season. Sagar, it's almost like you never left there. You were missing for 4 rounds and you come right back to the podium.
Yeah, to be honest, I think, first of all, I'm super happy to be back. This was a lot of fun. But, let's be honest, I totally lucked into that. I don't think I had the pace to win today, but through some really weird situations, I ended up in the lead and I managed to keep it. I don't know if you guys saw me slam into the wall like 2 laps in the lead, but I did. I slammed right into the wall and the car seemed fine, so I just kept going.
I don't think we actually spotted that one, so wow, that makes it an even more incredible story. I mean, sometimes these things do happen, but to your credit, you kept the pace up. Like you said, you despite a mistake, you kept your cool and brought it to the finish ahead of Kelderman and Roper. Do you think there's a chance you can try and chase down AJ and Chris in the points here, or is that kind of too far gone for you?
Oh, I really don't know. I think, missing the 4 rounds that I missed is definitely going to hurt the overall points. I've been traveling a lot, and so I haven't been around to attend any of the races. I don't honestly know what my schedule looks like for the upcoming races, so I'm going to try to be here. If I'm in town, I'll do the race. Like, for this race, I had 0 practice. I just, hopped in and, did the practice session just before qualifying and, then hopped into the race. So hopefully next time I can be more prepared, but it really depends on travel. If I'm at home, I'll practice, but otherwise, we'll see.
Well, the bad news is you've got no safety net now, because I think if you miss one more race, you're not eligible for the championship.
Oh.
Yeah, that's. I think maybe I rained on your parade a little bit there, but
yeah.
Well, I knowing that does that change your approach for any of the remaining races if you think you're going to miss one?
No, not at all. I think it's just about showing up, trying to have fun. Hopefully, don't murder your friends. Yeah, that's the plan.
I think that's good life advice. Don't murder your friends. Well, thank you for talking with us, Sagar, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Sagar Dhawan, our victor here today, as Joey has caught up with Ezra Kelderman, another 2nd place for him.
Well, Ezra, you gotta be happy about a 2nd place finish here at Long Beach. Congratulations on the podium. So I have to ask you, were you worried about AJ Roper at all behind you? Because it seemed like he was able to close the gap a couple times, but every time he caught you, you were able to defend just fine.
Yeah, I was pretty worried. He could have been a lot more aggressive, and especially towards the end of the lap. There's those last few turns, I think he was really gaining on me, but he kept it clean, and I'm sure that was frustrating for him. But I tried the strategy because I know I'm not super fast around here, so I wanted to go easy on my tires and see if those last maybe 3 laps I could do something with some of the good fortune that happened out of lap one, but it just couldn't find the pace.
Since you mentioned lap one, let me ask you about it. The green flag at Long Beach is always an intense time. Were you prepared for that chaos down there in turn one?
Not at all. Once I saw, I think it was Matt go by right as the flag dropped, because everyone kind of gets bunched up by the start finish line, and then people are trying to catch up out of that last hairpin. So it's just a recipe for disaster. But yeah, once I saw Matt go by, and then thinking I think he's going to get the lead, that's when I started kind of preparing myself for a disaster. So it sure happened.
Well, it worked out for you. And my last question, since you said you were a little bit more conservative on how you were treating the tires at all, did you ever feel like you could go up there and pass that 501 car? Did you have anything for him today?
I felt like I could match him on a push lap, but I would start to make kind of little mistakes, get some tire slip. And if you get any tire slip here in these temperatures, the next few corners really punish you, and then it just never comes back. So I would say overall he was a little faster. I had some chances there early on. He was defending really well, and then a lot of the time honestly I was watching my mirrors. AJ was really pushing me, so really congrats to P1 on that. And yeah, he's super fast, and AJ as well for sticking right with us there.
Well, terrific performance tonight, and congrats one more time on that second place finish, Ezra.
Thanks so much. Thanks, guys.
That was the driver of the number 9 finishing on the podium here today, Joe.
Last podium step was AJ Roper, who started at the top originally, a pole position, AJ, and you got caught up having to stop completely for a moment on that opening wreck, and that sort of kind of put you in the position. Did it make it frustrating for the remaining of the race being stuck in third there?
Yeah, I took a little bit of damage as a result of that, but yeah, it definitely shook things up a little bit, we'll say that.
We saw you on the back of Ezra pretty much the entire race. We were kind of wondering if you were trying things, if you were doing your best to try and get by, if you were trying to stay patient. What was the situation in the cockpit?
I was definitely trying pretty hard. I made a mistake early on coming out of the hairpin and caught the left front off the wall, which certainly didn't help. But I think I was a little quicker, but just couldn't do anything with it. Anytime I got close, Ezra maybe made a little mistake, but couldn't do anything with it.
Even still, I think you should still be leading the points since Chris unfortunately had a DNF here today. How do you feel about Phillip Island going there, continuing to hold the top spot on the standings?
I think I've been lucky this season so far. I've been showing up for every race, but that's definitely helped. Phillip Island, not really my favorite, but I guess we'll see how we do.
Well, best of luck down in Australia. It seems like maybe luck wasn't completely on your side today, but you made the best of your situation.
Hey, I appreciate it. I want to congrats Sagar for the win there. Welcome back. Good to see him. And good run there too, Ezra. Thanks so much, guys.
That was a rather upbeat AJ Roper, considering the third place here today. But you got to take what you got to take sometimes. And we're going to take a moment to give a thank you to our sponsors, Porsche, there is no substitute, and Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Thanks to the team today, Joey, Daniel, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next time out will be Phillip Island, as we said. That'll be Monday, May 13th at 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.